when everything is said and done, is the great work that he did at Missouri, both as a coach and as a player, is overwhelmed by what he's done with Coaches versus Cancer, and bringing it to light, getting it started, and always being a part of it. You know, when there's a Coaches versus Cancer deal, and Norm's health allows it, he's there. And he is the father of Coaches versus Cancer. At the end of the day, no one else can have that title.
Well, a good friend of mine, again, people, came to me and said, I've got an idea. Said, but I need somebody that's got some visibility. And so his name is Jerry Quick. And Jerry said, here's what I want to do. And I'm thinking about this. And I said, this is a no-brainer. I just lost my mom to cancer. I just had cancer, so let's do it. It took us about 4 or 5 months, and we started a program called 3 Points. You get people to give money for every 3-point shot you make. We made $250,000 in about 5 months with hardly any publicity, anything. Just got people, friends, everybody to give a little money, and that's where it all started. Then we took it to the NABC, the National Association of Basketball Coaches, and they adopted it. And today it is the only charity that the NABC recognizes. Now the others, an individual may have something that's charitable, but it's the only one recognized by the NABC. And to date, I think we've raised something like $150 million.
Here I am, I've spent all those years at Missouri and then come to Oklahoma, and it was the trip to Oklahoma to play the Sooners when Coach Stewart got sick. Flying from Columbia to Norman.
Top 4 or 5 basketball teams, 2 of them are going to play. I get on the airplane, and in those days we flew 2 fairly good-sized aircraft. Today they just fly one with the whole team, but we flew a couple of smaller airplanes. I almost always got on the airplane, depending upon the game, with the reserves. If it was a certain game, I didn't want to make anybody nervous. If I want to make them nervous, I get on a plane with them. I'm talking about nervous about playing. That ball game, I elected, I believe, to get on the team. I didn't want to make anybody nervous. We were rated high. It's going to be a heck of a game. I think we won there the year before or the year after, whatever. And on the flight, then I didn't realize it, but I had a bleeding ulcer. And as we got into altitude, I pass out.
I remember where I was when I got the call that Coach Stewart had been rushed to the hospital. And during that time in examining what was going on is when they discovered cancer. And how in that particular game was one of the real notable games in both Missouri and Oklahoma history, because of it was this well-played game, as you would ever see. Both teams were fantastic. And I know they were playing for Coach Stewart.
I'm in the hospital, and I'm watching the game, and we jump out to a big lead, huge lead, and maybe 20 points. And Billy gets on there's a call made, and in those days, again, and it might be this way today, if the hometown is causing too much of a commotion, the head coach of the hometown gets on the mic and asks people, please show your respect. Do not throw anything on the floor. And so the official went to Billy, and they were the crowd was very raucous, and he went to Billy and said, make the announcement. Billy got on the thing and says, regardless of how bad the officiating is, don't throw things on the floor. Johnny Overby was the official, and that's the T. He gave him the technical. That turned everything around, and they came back and they won the ball game.
I think it was tough on the team, and it was tough on the staff. And I think the one thing that he showed our guys was, you know, you get an unfortunate incident. I mean, he's in the hospital, he's recovering, and I think they got to see, you know, the reaction. I think Norm always had a great saying. He said, "It's not what happens to you, it's your reaction to it." And he would use that all the time with our players. And I think to this day, I think guys always remember that kind of a mentality. You know, you're going to have misfortune. You're going to have something happen. But how you react to it and how you come out of it's going to be, you know, the answer that you're looking for.
From that point, you know, when he went through and had his surgery and went through his recovery, you know, he would talk a lot about, you know, the time he had to reflect and how he wanted that experience to be, you know, one that makes something special happen. And the idea behind Coaches versus Cancer was born. And, you know, I remember those years of, you know, getting it started and, you know, the 3-point shots and getting pledges per 3-point shot and just all these different ways that money could be raised to support you know, those that are battling cancer as well as cancer research, and then how he was able to connect with his peers.
I remember it distinctly because I was on the board and was sitting in there, and we knew the background of Norm getting sick on a flight to play a game. So we were all in tuned to what he had and was going through, okay? So so when he came in, he's one of us. You know, he's not some person from another county, another profession, whatever. He's one of us. And so we're relating to him and we're listening to him. And when he says things like, you know, all of us have been touched by cancer, that strikes a tune because it absolutely is true. And so we're listening carefully. And he had a good idea of putting together what he had already started with the 3-point shooting with a partnership or a collaboration, however you want to state it, with the American Cancer Society. And it made a lot of sense because they were professional in their area, and coaches have quite a platform. And coaches are designed, built to win. That's their job. That's what they go out to do. So putting those groups together made a lot of sense. So if we can get the coaches to understand how much they can do, then you're saying, holy mackerel, let's put it to work. When we decided at that meeting, after Norm was gone, that the Coaches versus Cancer didn't have that name then, but as it turns out, Coaches versus Cancer was going to be our charity of choice.
What Coach did, I think, for the cancer and the Coaches versus Cancer, creating the Coaches versus Cancer, was I don't think he'll ever get enough credit for that. You look back. Think about how much money has been raised now. You know, think about, you know, you read, I get information on it all the time about the golf tournaments that are held and everything else that's done, the galas that they have. I mean, we're talking millions and millions of dollars, you know. And I know they have an event in Kansas City I was a part of when I was a head coach. That was a really neat event. So just what he started and what that's done for cancer research is unbelievable.
It all does speak to kind of an inner core of resilience you know, this is a little different than that point, but it's kind of related. I mean, I remember Norm would always say, he doesn't hold grudges, but he has a long memory. That was one of his favorite lines, and always given with a grin. And I think some people are motivated extra by setbacks in their lives, right? Or when they feel they've been slighted, or they feel they've been kicked in the shins. And certainly cancer is on another tier in all those things. But so is feeling like the feeling of something coming at you and that you're indomitable, you're going to win eventually. I think that's a lot of the essence of Norm. You know, whatever comes at me, I can handle it. And by the way, I can do this. I'll come right back stronger than ever. I think Norm projected that he'd come back stronger than ever. And that really is a great notion of a theme throughout his career and life.
When Norm came to us, we didn't have any chair. So this was the initial, and so we decided, hey, there's not one person that's going to see this, or that you know or I know that hasn't been touched by cancer. So we don't need to look any further. You know, here is a universal need, and this is something that all of our coaches can find themselves in support of, without a lot of hard work and without a lot of convincing on the need to do it.
I think it's wonderful because so many times coaches are thought of as being greedy, or maybe not treating their players right, or being spoiled, whatever. And it gave them, the coaches, a platform for people to realize that most of them did care deeply about things, and most everybody has had somebody that's had cancer in their family, or they know somebody well. So it was kind of a no-brainer, and of course they've raised millions of dollars, and I'm just so proud of the fact that he was able to make that happen.
It's tremendous to see what each person can come up with. And some of the coaches really take it to heart. A lot of them take it to heart, raise huge money. People may not even realize. Mark Few's had a project that he does at Gonzaga, and I think they make $1 million. They do one or two nights, they make $1 million. Jim Boeheim has the same situation in Syracuse. Roy Williams has done great work. Lon Kruger. Lon is just absolutely phenomenal. He has a program he does in Las Vegas, and they raise over $1 million. So that's a surprise, but it's a pleasant one.
That impact has been unbelievable. When it first started, we were only thinking of Division I coaches and programs. Now it's not just Division I, II, III, high school, junior college. Everybody's involved doing it. And that in itself, I mean, is anyone else you can think of? There's nobody else I can think of that had that kind of impact in their sport and in the community, all the communities. I mean, wins and losses, you know, they're in the record book. But what's going on now are saving lives. Lives are being saved because of what Norm Stewart started. He's the father of Coaches versus Cancer. And that'll be around a long time after all of us aren't around. And hopefully it'll still be saving lives.